Hi everybody, it's me, Angel Benton. It's time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television and we do a few reality shows on the side. And one of those reality shows that I can't wait to talk about is The Real Housewives of Auckland. Okay, so let's talk about The Real Housewives of Auckland, this past episode that aired this last Saturday. Which, FYI, I still hate that time slot. It's freaking ridiculous. Whatever, it's canceled anyway, so. Oh, FYI, let's talk about. I know I keep saying FYI, but sidebar. Let's talk about. So, in the Housewives of Melbourne, there is a lady named. There's a Twitter account for slave friend Johanna or Johanna. It's Lydia's maid that she has, that she went to go visit her parents in the Philippines. Like that's who. And she has this Twitter. Well, she because I doubt it's really her, but it's someone who has a Twitter account for the slave friend Johanna. It was, at least, she hasn't tweeted in a while, but it was hilarious. It was really hilarious. Now, there's a new person who's liked a couple of my tweets, and her name is Interne Leia. So I haven't seen her on the show yet. So we'll see who this intern is. She's either Angela or Julia's intern. I haven't really quite sure who it is yet, but I'm sure we'll see her on the show. And it seems to be along that lines of a parody account. And it is, again, it's hilarious. You've got to check out her Twitter. It's really hilarious. Okay. So, all right. Having said that, let's go back to, this past episode, we got to meet Michelle's daughter, and her son is at boarding school during the week. So, first of all, unless he's going to boarding school out of the country, he's not that far away. Because it's New Zealand, it's not that big of a country. I live in America, which is a huge country, right? If someone says they're going to boarding school, you'd think that they're at least, in a different time zone, right? Yeah, anyways. So, but he comes home every weekend or whatever. But her daughter. Now, I feel bad for Michelle because she says that, if her daughter wants to be a model, she's okay with that. But she met her, she brought her daughter to a fashion show, and she was like, basically telling her, you have to give up cheerleading because it'll make you look too muscular and stocky. Okay, so here's the thing. I think that was probably phrased wrong, because I think she probably was saying, if you want to be a model, you've got to be, conscious of your body type. And, if you want to do cheerleading, that's fine, but just know that cheerleaders don't have the same body types as models, so you really can't be the best at both. I just think that the way that it was phrased, it made her look like, kind of like a stage mom, but I don't think she really is. I really don't. So that was a little bit unfortunate. I do like Michelle, actually. I like her a lot. And I love Anne. I remembered her name. So Anne is the champagne lady. I know last weekend I was like, God, I can't remember her name. Her name's Anne. She's a champagne lady, and she's hilarious. She's great. She's hysterical. I like her a lot. She might be my second favorite after Louise. Now, okay, so jumping forward a little bit, there was a big hullabaloo at this dinner party that Michelle had to kind of make up for ruining Julia's birthday. And she basically had everyone over, and everyone is all acting like they're big deals, but Gilda said to Angela, because there was a big back and forth between Angela and Gilda, and she was like, you know what I've heard about you, Angela? And Angela's like, what? She's like, fucking nothing. Which, I'm sorry, that's a read. That is not even shade. That is a read, and it is a fierce read. Kudos to you, Gilda. That was hilarious. I'll tell you what. You know what I've heard about any of you bitches? Nothing except Louise. I know who Louise was. I knew who she was before the show. Everyone else, I never heard of any of them, even Michelle. So I'm just saying, no one's that fucking famous, okay, at all, right? So I'm just saying. Okay, so Michelle has this, not birthday party, it's like a dinner party. She has a dinner party and she has the girls over to kind of make up for, she felt bad about what happened, at Julia's birthday party. So she has all the ladies over, and she has one rule, and that rule is you can't wear shoes in the house. So she makes everyone take their shoes off. I swear to God, everyone threw the biggest fit over having to take their shoes off. And to me, that just blows my mind. I lived in Japan, and God bless Anne, because Anne was like, oh, she had us take off her shoes like they do in Japan. That's exactly how it is in Japan. If you got offended whenever you went to anybody's house in Japan because you had to take your shoes off, you'd be real offended, and you wouldn't have any friends. And you wouldn't be going over to anybody's house because they wouldn't have you over because you have to take your shoes off everywhere. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I really don't. And I've got some funky ass feet with some Godzilla toes, and I don't care, whatever. I don't give a shit. So I'll take my shoes off. I don't give a shit. Actually, I make everyone, not me personally, but that apartment makes everyone take off their shoes when they come into the apartment. And it's not because we were worried about them messing up our floors. That's how it's always been, even when I moved in. And it's always been that way. You take your shoes off when you come in. Period. The end of it. So I don't know why they were throwing such a hissy. I mean, it really, that kind of shows their privilege, that they were making such a big deal about having to take their shoes off when they go to someone's house. That was kind of, and it is a little bit rude also, because that's how she runs her house. So you're a guest in her home, and if she wants you to do that, you either do it or you leave. Period. The end of it. So then they had the dinner, and she served all the food family style. And there was more fucking bitching and moaning about that. About them serving family style. I thought we were having a sit-down dinner, and now we have to help ourselves to the food and the wine. Like, that is the worst thing in the world, to actually have to spoon your own fucking food. Are you kidding me? I mean, I live in Las Vegas. This is the land of the buffets, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, for real. This is. I mean, that whole mess was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Okay, I just had to get that out because that was fucking ridiculous. That was really ridiculous. Oh my God! Wait, before the dinner, Angela, who, I'm sorry, episode 2, episode 1, you think, okay, she's coming off a little crazy. She might not be that crazy in real life. She might, that might have just been a bad episode where you see someone and you're like, she looks a little nuts, but they could just be editing, right? Yeah, but then the second episode, just as batshit crazy. In fact, what she went after the last dinner at Julia's birthday dinner that got ruined, they called her, they had the nerve to call her a plus-size model. I mean, okay. The whole thing is so comical. It cracks me up. I'm dying that she was so offended that someone thought she was a plus-size model. I mean, that still kills me. And she thought, and they were like, yeah, with tits like yours. I mean, like, that is a compliment. She's saying you've got big boobs. So, I mean, like, it's okay, whatever. So she ends up going to this healer, where the healer pulls all of these daggers out of her, and she just goes, I mean, like, it was so, and the whole time I'm thinking, is this bitch for real? Is this really happening? Is this like, are they putting one over on us? Like, that's kind of how I felt about Jackie at first and from Melbourne Housewives, but she really isn't. Like, you realize that's kind of how Jackie really is. And she's toned it down a little bit. But Angela, you're like, oh my God, is this Saturday Night Live? Or is this actually the Housewives of Auckland? Like, is this really, like, it was crazy. It was crazy. Insane. Anyways, I just thought that was insane. So then they go to the dinner party, and they have the dinner party, and Louise, basically, she's got no time for bullshit. She was reclaiming her time. I know you'll only get that if you follow American politics. But look, if you're not from America, you need to look up Maxine Waters reclaiming my time. It's the best. You'll see the video. It is hilarious. But anyways, okay. So she basically, I'm sorry, it just makes me laugh. So they were talking about, so Louise doesn't have time for bullshit. So she's like, look, what have you heard about Gilda? You know, because Angela was trying to goad everyone else into, you know, talking shit about Gilda and trying to find out from Gilda. And everyone's like, girl, we see right through you. Like, we see that you want us to do your dirty work. Yeah, no. And Louise said what the rumors she's heard about Gilda were, and she said it, and then they bleeped it. Now, this is where it's going to be a little bit different for America, because normally in the United States, things get bleeped when they're using profanity. Even though it's on cable, things get bleeped. Because, like, for example, Gilda and Angela started going back and forth, and then then it devolved into them going, you know, get fucked and things like that, and that was bleeped, so you understand that. But Louise's whole thing was bleeped, and you're wondering what was that? Did they bleep it because she was full of profanity, or did they bleep it because they want to hide what she said and they'll reveal it later? Which I tend to think it's the latter, because you know what I think she said is that. Now you're thinking, oh, what profane thing did she say? I don't think she said anything profane at all. I think she said that she's heard that Gilda was a mail-order bride. That's what I'm thinking. Now, everyone else was, again, horrified and offended that Louise would say something like that. And she's like, that's what I've heard. I mean, I don't, you know, she's one of my best friends, so I don't necessarily think that's true. But, you know, let's just fucking get it out and say it. I mean, really. So... anyways, so that's what I think the big commotion is, what they said about Gilda, because she didn't even bat an eye. She's like, you know, yeah, he's 45 years older than me. We were in love for 15 years. Whatever, you know. Listen. As a gay guy, I'm coming from a different, and a gay guy from a different country. I'm looking at things from a completely different perspective, right? So I'm thinking that, you know, I like a hot daddy. You know, so why would I hate on Gilda for liking daddies? I'm just saying. I don't think that's bad at all. You know, and if people think she's a gold digger, so fucking what? Big whoop, right? Going back to Michelle real quick, when she was getting ready for the fashion show with her daughter was in her closet. She was like, you know, if my closet is unlocked, the girl is going to find her way in there, right? And it reminded me of, and I'm going to throw it real back to the Housewives of DC, when Mary Ammons had a lock on her closet, and everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe you have a lock on your closet. Obviously, Michelle did too, and she's in a completely different country. So it's universal. All girls want to grow up and dress like their mom. You should be flattered. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, the girl likes your style and she wants to emulate your style. I'm just saying. And going back to the daggers thing, I'm from Glendale. But for a while I lived in Venice, and it was kind of sketchy. And in that neighborhood, when people pulled daggers out of your back, they were literal knives. So this whole, it was 40 kinds of ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Anyways, so that's kind of what happened on the Real Housewives of Auckland this week. I can't wait for next week. There's a big pussy party that Anne throws. I fucking love Anne. I just do. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. So thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Angel Benton. You can hashtag RHOAKL or Real Housewives Shit to talk to Real Housewives of Auckland. Or you can also hashtag Bold and Beautiful to talk Bold and the Beautiful. And I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. And you could also hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel to get my YouTube videos sent to your inbox every single day. Thank you so much for logging on tonight. Have a wonderful night. Peace out and wubba wubba wubba.